country where the rivers run wide, folks started asking what they're trying to hide. And behind closed doors and whispered halls, see a few big players thought they'd fool us all. But somebody lit a light in the dark, started connecting every missing mark. And the truth came knocking loud and hard. See, it shook the foundation of that house of cards. It's Beaufort County's house of cards. Pull one thread and it all falls apart. And we're raising the bar, shining a light wherever the secrets are. No more smoke screens, no more facades. The people are watching from near and far, and truth and transparency are our guard. We're tearing down that house of cards. And Facebook Live on a Thursday night, see, bringing the facts and shining the light. No matter who's winning, no matter who's scared, the truth's got a way of hitting hard. And the people deserve to know what's true, what they're spending and who's pulling through. From Bluffton streets to Beaufort yards, the truth keeps shaking that house of cards. It's Beaufort County's house of cards, where the truth cuts through like a shooting star. And Facebook, YouTube, and Big Patriot Radio, taking the story where the people go. Truth and transparency are our regard. No one's too big, no matter who you are. And freedom survives when citizens guard against every house of cards. So tune in every Thursday night, we'll keep shining the light, and truth keeps standing tall as every house of cards can fall.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You're listening to the House of Cards on Facebook, YouTube, and BigPatriotRadio.com. All licenses for music and content have been purchased by and are for the express use of the Big Patriot Radio Networks. All information, opinions, and topics are for entertainment purposes and do not expressly represent the opinion of the show's host and or producer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And good evening, everybody. Welcome in. It is Beaufort County's House of Cards. Thank you for being here. Gosh, it is feels like forever, but I guess it's been a couple weeks now that we think about it. July 9th, that's where we are right now. So for everyone watching in, glad to have you here. My name is Mike Covert. I'll be your host for tonight. Man, we've got a great show coming up for you tonight. Three big things. So excited about our guest we're going to have on closer to the bottom of the half hour there. He's sitting back in our green room already. We've got a nice buttery Chardonnay back there, a couple of Kentucky whiskeys and a Texas whiskey. And hey, have fun and some water. But anyway, that'll come up there at the bottom of the half hour there. I am live at the Big Patriot Radio studios here in the great state of South Carolina. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, thank you for joining and welcome in. And if you're listening, one of the many folks around the world tuning in on BigPatriotRadio.com, did you all notice our new song? We debuted it last time we were on the show 2 weeks ago before the 4th of July. And that song, proud to say, I wrote the song and the music I didn't do, and the voice I didn't do, but it was great to do that, and hope everybody liked it. Thank you so much for joining in. And again, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, and especially share the show with your friends. Let them know where we are, where they can find us. On Facebook or YouTube, or if they want to listen to the radio, they can tune in digital radio. That is, tune in to BigPatriotRadio.com. All right, tonight's QR code is right here, and if you have your smartphone, this will take you. If you take a little picture of that, that'll take you to BuyMeACoffee.com, and it's been awesome. It's very easy, just like it says, BuyMeACoffee.com. Click on that, and you can help support the show. We greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. So go ahead, click on it. Yeah, buy me a coffee by the end of the show, man. I need a coffee. Anyway, your support is greatly appreciated. I always want to thank the folks who help us out. PB of Bluffton, thank you for your support. Yahoozy 12, Felice, thank you. Any Mostar, thank you. Imparto 523 and BG, thank you all for your support. Thank you to Gemini 8224, Folly Jen, Fontaine Lynn, and to Bob and Chuck 180. Also want to thank Cad M17, Peter Cottontail 26 still with us, Baggett's Bots, and Cliff W53. Thank you all. Don't want to forget Jeff and Lisa 624. You all are very much appreciated. And again, all you got to do is go to that QR code right here beside me and click on that, and the rest is pretty easy.
Turn up the radio.
Bringing you the best selection of hits for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, well, here we go again is the topic of tonight's first story. Another Beaufort County employee making headlines. Another story that has residents asking, what now? This time it's Beaufort County Communications Manager Laura Finelli. She was arrested on June 22nd here in Beaufort County on a fugitive from justice warrant, and she was extradited to Newton County, Georgia, June 27th, 5 days later, to face felony charges by theft by deception, and also computer theft. Now, those are allegations, not convictions. That's just an allegation. She hasn't been convicted of anything. She's innocent until proven guilty. We certainly support that here. She deserves the same presumption of innocence as every American is entitled to until a court says otherwise. And since the story broke, I do need to add, it has been reported that she was released from Newton County, Georgia on July 2nd. But let's be honest, whether these charges ultimately result in a conviction or not, Beaufort County government has another public confidence problem on its hands. It's not her. And again, she's innocent until proven guilty, but it's the county government that has another black eye. And people aren't just reacting to one employee. They're reacting to what feels like a never-ending series of controversies. One headline fades, another one appears. One public relations challenge ends, and another begins. Every time it happens, county leaders tell us that this situation is different. We got it. Maybe it is. But from the taxpayer's perspective, the pattern is what matters. The pattern. For years, citizens have voiced concerns about transparency, accountability, leadership, and whether the people actually running county government are holding themselves to the same standards that they expect from everyone else. Now comes another high-profile controversy involving someone in one of the county's, honestly, most visible positions, the very office responsible for communicating with the public and helping build trust in county government. You simply cannot make this stuff up. And this isn't about piling on to one individual. The courts will decide the criminal case. This is about asking why Beaufort County government keeps finding itself explaining yet another controversy instead of talking about accomplishments. How many times does public confidence have to be shaken before someone says, quote, "We have a bigger problem here"? And there's something county leadership should think about. Most county employees work hard every single day. There's like 2,000 employees. And I know all of them work extremely hard every single day. They show up, they do their jobs, and they serve the public honorably. They deserve better than watching the reputation of the entire organization suffer because controversy keeps finding its way into the headlines. Trust isn't built with press releases. It isn't restored by saying, "We're monitoring the situation." It's earned by creating a culture where accountability starts long before something goes wrong. Taxpayers deserve answers. They deserve transparency. We beat that horse to death. No one seems to care. At least the proof is in the pudding. They deserve leaders willing to acknowledge that when the controversies become routine, the issue is no longer just the latest headline. It's whether the organization has become comfortable managing crises instead of preventing them. Maybe this latest case is completely unrelated to county employment. Maybe the courts will ultimately determine the allegations are unfounded, and that whatever the courts come up with, we'll let the legal system do its job. But county leadership still has a job to do as well. The people of Beaufort County deserve a government that inspires confidence, not one that repeatedly finds itself in damage control mode. At some point, the question stops being, what happened this time? The question becomes, why does this keep happening? That's the conversation that Beaufort County should be having.
Bringing you the best selection of hits for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, we are going to get our guest on. It is right at 7:15, a little bit early. And so we'll give him a few minutes here to get back on. Let's see. I hope everybody had a good 4th of July weekend. We had some activity going on in, well, not just Hilton Head, but actually all over the country. And we're going to talk about that here in just a little while. Let's see here. Let's roll down. Our guest could be coming on here in a second, back in the green room, and we'll wait for him to come on. All right, I see he's coming online. Let's take a couple things here. Don't forget, folks, you can chime in on your chat bar, your chat room, whatever. Send it to us. You have a question for me, you have a question for our guests, or whatever. Comments, please fire away. We like to have them, and we appreciate you. All right, our guest is back there. Let's get ready to bring him in. He is no stranger to politics or the business of politics, and he is no stranger to making things work. Our guest is a creator. Over the last 2 decades, he built one of the largest companies in Republican politics and helped create hundreds of political and public affairs campaigns. After selling his company, he intended to retire for a while. I know how that feels. Instead, he somehow got pulled back into this vacuum of South Carolina politics for one more round of trying to disrupt the system. These days, you can find he's more interested in spending time with his family, building new ideas, and trying to figure out what life is actually about. His interests tend to bounce between philosophy, spirituality, long walks, books, and traveling the world for endurance challenges. He also recently got into collecting vinyl records, and he told me that he's pretty sure that's required once you reach middle age. I got a couple years on him, but I think he's got something pretty close there. Hey, please join me in welcoming a true soldier in the fight for what is right, Mr. Wesley Donehue, to the show. Good evening. How are you, Wesley?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I am great, man. It's I feel like I've known you forever. It's good to finally meet you. And I was saying when I was creating some outlines and what have you, I had put down that never met the guy, but then I got to thinking, I think maybe we did meet when I ran for Congress. I think we did on the battleship there in the battleship there in Charleston,
Yorktown.
Yeah, when I ran, we had a big deals. I don't remember who put it on, but Kathy Landing and Nancy and myself.
Yeah,
and there was a couple other folks that were there. But anyway, I'm not sure. But it is fantastic to have you.
Yeah, I was there. That might have been when I was helping Nancy, I think, at that time.
I think so.
It all kind of blends together.
It does. It does. I know. When I got into that, I looked. I was for that level, I was a complete novice and asked people who should have called. Well, push digital. All right. Well, you were already taken. And but that's good. How has your summer been?
Oh, it's been great, man. I'm really excited. We just got back from St. Augustine 2 hours ago. We go for the 4th with a bunch of friends every week. And in 4 days, we've got our biggest family trip yet. We're going 3 weeks to national parks out west. And I got 3 little boys. So we're going to be spending the next 3 weeks bouncing from park to park to park and just hiking every day. And really looking forward to that.
That is going to be awesome. Are you driving, flying, taking an RV?
Flying to Vegas, getting to SUV. I am not the kind of guy you want driving an RV. I'm not that dude. So I'm getting an RV in Vegas, and then we're hitting the Tetons and Yellowstone and Glacier. One more in there, I forgot. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big 3 weeks with the little boys and the wife, and really excited about it.
I follow you, obviously, on social media, and the thing about the philosophy, every time you write something, I sit there and I'm thinking, I resonate with about 98% of what you write.
Thank you.
And I don't know if that's good or bad, but for me, it's good. Well, because I applaud what you've done.
Honestly, I don't understand people that are 100% with you on something. Like, I don't understand those kind of people. Like, I don't feel like I'm 100% on board with any single thing I listen to or read or write or debate, and I don't understand those people that are just like 100%. Like, really? 100%? Everything?
Yeah. And I have made the comment ever since I got into politics. I've said to people, hey, I don't want you to agree with 100% of what I think, because that'd be weird.
Yeah. Like, I want you to think.
and it's okay. I think grass is green, but the neighbor may think grass is purple. That's
That's
cool.
fine. Yeah. I mean, look, I write about that a lot, and I write a lot of just to get people thinking, because one of the things that's frustrating for me in politics is just the lack of independent thinkers and just this herd mentality on everything.
Everything.
And I'm not talking about just voters, but elected officials too. Even they seem like they're sheep. It's just like they'll just follow no matter what. They
Yep.
don't think for themselves on anything, and it's very frustrating to see.
Wesley, how in the world did you decide, and what time period was this? You said, I want to get into the business of politics and public affairs. How did that happen?
Yeah, that was complete accident, man. So, long story short, I grew up very poor. I grew up a welfare kid, Section 8 housing, divorced parents. Both my parents were addicts and have died because of their addictions. So, I mean, I did not, you meet a lot of people in politics that are like, they came up in it. They grew up on the country club, or their daddy was a donor, or maybe their cousin was a politician. I didn't, I mean, I was dirt poor trash, and I didn't even understand what politics was until I was 15, not maybe 14, but they were redistricting my school lines, and I wanted to go to school where all my friends went, but they were sending all these other poor kids to the other school. And I went up in front of the school board, and through that I met a state senator, and then he asked me. So I put myself through college just by bartending and waiting tables. And when I went up there, he learned that I was at USC. He asked me to be a Senate page, and I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what the Senate was. I didn't know about it. So I did as like a part-time job, and this entire world kind of opened up to me that I didn't know existed. Like, because when you grow up a poor kid, like you just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You have to worry about your basic needs, just like
Right.
your mom working around the clock, after an abusive marriage, just to like feed you, right? So like
Sure.
when you don't have the luxury of thinking about things like politics whenever you grew up the way I did. So I didn't really know anything about it, and I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with this idea that these people were making the laws and they can change the way people live. And I just started working on every campaign I could, and eventually opened up my own company after years and years of working on campaigns.
So in your industry and in your business, I learned this from employing my own political consultants and so forth, that your industry is way more. And I thought that, well, a political consultant is what the name implies, but it's so much more than that. Corporations depend on companies like your company,
Yeah.
your company, for public affair campaigns, and huge. That has to be an enormous part of the whole business. Is that not correct?
Well, it is once you reach a certain level. So, I created my company. I grew it to about 130, between 130, 150 people, some probably 140-ish people at one time. And when you got a company that large, and I grew it myself, and then I acquired another company, and acquired a few companies actually, and grew it through acquisition. And there's a lot of business dealings. But when you're doing all those business things, the problem with the business of politics is it's cyclical, right? Like, you make a lot of money in election years, but then how do you keep 140 people employed in a non-election year, right? It's like McDonald's, and every other year people stop eating cheeseburgers, right? You're kind of
Right.
screwed. So what you do is you end up picking up corporate work. And that became really important in recent years, because after like cancel culture, corporations really didn't understand politics at all.
Mhm.
And the marketing guys that they hired didn't understand it. So they would hire political guys to work in corporations. The biggest one for me was after a, a documentary called Blackfish came out and hit
Mhm.
SeaWorld. I went and worked for SeaWorld for 5 years and helped with their reputation campaign
Right.
after
Right.
that. That was a lot of fun. The company had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I sold that company last year.
Yeah.
So I grew it, and sold it. And now, like I said, I was planning on retiring, and then politics sucked me back in. So at the moment, I'm, coming off the election cycle, and just like I said, just trying to figure out what's life, and
Yeah.
do I retire now, or do I pick up some more campaigns? Do I start another company? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
When I was sketching out this show and creating some of the graphics, I used the phrase, you may have seen it, the current political schism in South Carolina politics.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
honestly think that's now one of the most perfect ways to describe where we are in at least Republican, avenues in South Carolina today. Do you agree, and why is that?
Do I agree that there's a schism?
Yeah.
100%. So, Shane Massey during redistricting, he made this comment from the well, and it got him just ripped across the internet. And the comment basically was like, the we need more Democrats in South Carolina. He said, and all the Republicans are like, what do you mean we need more Democrats? What he means is, whenever the Republican Party gets so big, it doesn't have any Democrats to fight anymore. So what does it do? It turns inward to fight because, look, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail, right? In politics, everything's a fight, right? So if they don't have any Democrats to fight, the only thing they can do is fight each other. I actually think the Republican Party in South Carolina, because I was working for the state Senate during the switchover when Democrats had it and then Republicans had it. The Republican Party in the state Senate of South Carolina was never as strong as when it was like 2 or 3 member majority. But by the time you get to a supermajority, you've got 20% or then 30%, and it starts growing. But then, they're a little faction, and then they start fighting the establishment, and then it becomes like an establishment, or like you see here in South Carolina, like an establishment freedom caucus thing, right? And they just turn inward and then just start beating the hell out of each other.
Why do you think, is that what is causing the divide to get deeper and deeper and deeper? Is it because you've got the freedom caucus and then the establishment?
No, I think politically that's how it starts.
Okay.
The reason it's getting deeper is personal. Okay, like you got to understand the South Carolina General Assembly, especially the State House. It's like adult daycare. Okay, like there aren't a lot of serious people up there. I mean, it's a freaking nursery, right? There's just a bunch of crybabies that just want to fight and whine and and I learned this by watching my own kids grow up. Like the ultimate sign of maturity, I think, is when you finally realize the world doesn't revolve around you, right?
Yeah.
Because like that's the difference between like a baby and then an adult, right? Like you start seeing it, right? Like babies, they always think the world revolves around them. And it's all ego, right? My point is, like, that's the problem with the State House. Most of them think that the world revolves around them. They've all got these huge egos, and then they just start fighting everybody else, and it becomes very, very personal. So like this Freedom Caucus establishment thing has become, it's not even an ideological divide anymore. It's just adult men who don't like each other very much.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing.
Well, I mean, it's just human nature. Like it's no different. It's the same reason we watch reality TV. Why? Because we like to watch people fight. Well, it's the same damn thing up at the, excuse me, I probably shouldn't curse on it, but it's the same South Carolina General Assembly. Yeah. Like it's human beings fighting each other because that's what human beings do for some reason. And it doesn't, you think that at some point you rise above that, but the maturity level at the South Carolina General Assembly isn't that mature, which is why you don't see actual problems being solved in this state.
Exactly.
Like any big problem, like when's the last time we fixed like an actual big problem? We can't, because these guys they're petty.
And something, I'm one of those, I guess you could call me a weirdo. I have the General Assembly on either the Senate and or the House in Columbia during session every day here in my office. I have it on somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I really am into that. And one of the things that strikes me is, and you really wouldn't know this unless you really got into it, is the amount of lying that goes on. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Is it maybe that's just me, but my gosh, the amount of lying, it's preposterous.
Well, Mike, it's hard to believe, but some of us have like these foundational principles upon which we live. Like, I'm not going to be a liar.
Right. Amazing.
We're like in the minority when it comes to politics. Like a lot of these guys just don't have those like foundational moral principles, and will just lie and say anything.
Amazing. I want to give you an example of something, and I'd like to have your input. I live in Beaufort County. Our county GOP here is run, in my opinion, kind of mafioso style.
Yeah, I've seen them.
If you don't agree with the chairman or the vice chair or the state executive committee woman, you're damned to hell. It's the state executive committee woman who is the real interesting piece of this puzzle. She has preached and preached and preached about, and this is for years, about party unification, about coming together, all the right words, all the right phrases, total Republican kumbaya, not running against GOP incumbents, not running against each other, things that sound on the surface sound really good. But this year, she put two GOP candidates up against two county council GOP incumbents. She led the rally for Mark Smith, and nothing against Mark Smith, but political part, Jenny Honeycutt in her face ran somebody against her in the county. And, in my opinion, political parties should not be involved in primaries. It's too messy. Do you see what's happening here in Beaufort County with that kind of stuff? Is that happening elsewhere in South Carolina, or are we that screwed up down here in the bottom of the state?
Well, first off, I don't know those people. I have seen some of their antics on Facebook, and I was running a campaign this year that had to deal with them. Okay. I don't know them personally. I don't even know their names. Okay. I just know their reputation. And I can tell you that I do not think that they are representative of all the different Republican folks around the state. Like they're a little worse than some of the other ones. They're all bad. Like some of them are bad in different ways. And there's infighting within the South Carolina Republican Party right now. To be honest with you, I don't really pay that much attention to it because it's just I don't mean to be egotistical myself. It's just beneath me. Like I don't lower myself to the pettiness that goes on in these state party meetings. Right. And some of the stuff I've seen come out of Beaufort is just very, very petty. And to me, it looks like a couple people that just got the taste of power. And then once you get the taste of power, you want more power, and you want more power, and you want more power. And then you become this like little local party boss. And you can't do shit unless you get permission from them. And if you insulted them by putting the wrong thing on Facebook or liking the wrong comment or sharing the wrong thing, then you're on their bad side. And then they're going to go screw with you. I mean, that's just the childishness of politics that you see at the local level, and you see it all over the place. But those two that I've seen down there, or at least this one woman that I've seen down there in particular, like just seems just kind of like, to me, I don't know, just childish. But again, I think it's a common theme in politics right now, as I stated earlier about the General Assembly, is childishness. What I also don't understand, Mike, and I think this is how, like, you and I started this conversation for this podcast, where we were commenting on, maybe it was on Corey Allen's post about the new rules changes at the state party.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
And like, I'm not dead set on either side. Like, I understand this concept of Republicans voting in Republican primaries. I totally get that. I don't understand the whole running, you can only run for office if you've voted in 2 of the last 3 Republican primaries. That seems very restrictive to me. You've got 800 people telling 5.5 million people that only 400,000 are good enough to run as a Republican.
Right.
Those are the numbers. That's fact. I'm not making those numbers up.
No,
those are the numbers.
Yep.
I don't understand why the Republican Party wants to be that restrictive, and it seems like we've got, again, it goes back to this idea of being a supermajority. Sometimes you get so good and so big that, like, other states need to be inclusive.
Right.
Now here in South Carolina, we're just so comfortable that we think we can just like rein it in.
Yeah.
I think that's a little weird. I don't like the idea of telling outsiders, like business guys who won't have voted, like, Ron Reddy this year wouldn't have voted in 2 of the last 3 Republican primaries. Like, you're telling those kind of men that they shouldn't run. And frankly, I think the outsiders are the guys that we need more of, more Donald Trump outsiders that are ready to just shake up the whole damn thing. And you're basically telling the Donald Trumps that they can't run.
That's right.
And then my last point is, I don't like this idea of, this is just the conservative in me. The taxpayers pay for the Republican primary.
Right.
Okay. And that is because I was working at the General Assembly at that point, but it was like 12, 15 years ago. The party came to the state and said, we can no longer afford to run our primaries. Can you run the primaries for me? So we run them at the request of the Republican Party, and we pay for them. And I think that if the taxpayers are footing the bill for something, then it's hard to claim the status of a private club. Like the Constitution guarantees, the right to association, but it's no longer a private membership club if it's paid for by taxpayer funds.
That's right.
So, like, but I could be convinced either way. Like, those are just some points that I've seen that nobody's been able to contest me on.
If they had split, and I'm speaking of this reconvening of the convention, if they had split those 2 questions and not had them as, one for all, You think that would have been a easier and more, tame way of trying to sell that?
I think so. I mean, like, for example, I'm just going to look at me personally.
Hmm?
I could get behind closed primaries if the taxpayers aren't paying for it.
Right.
I think that as a Republican, I think the idea of only allowing Republicans to run with that criteria, that just is stupid to me.
Yeah.
Like I think that it's insiders protecting insiders. Like that is an insider protection plan.
That is exactly
That tells the disruptors, it tells the outsiders, it tells the businessmen who don't live this religiously because they're actually they're doing something important. They're building a company. I build a company. I'm telling you, when you're building a company, it's hard to pay attention to other things.
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't in politics, I wouldn't have had the time to pay attention to politics.
Right.
But those are the kind of outsiders you need to run the country and to run the state.
Yeah, agree.
And I think you're telling the outsiders they shouldn't run.
I noticed today in listening to Mike Lyons on Corey's show this morning, he was the one who ran the convention, had the gavel during all this. When the question was posed to him, sort of what you just said, he said, well, their answer is, well, anybody that doesn't agree with this doesn't care if Democrats run as Republicans. And I find that so disingenuous when the real point is, taxpayers are paying for this. Who are you, establishment, whatever, who are you to tell anybody that they're not qualified enough to run as a Republican?
Who are you? That's they want to be somebody. They want the power. Again, people want to be gatekeepers. They want power. Politics is all about the hoarding of power. Mm-hmm. So all they're trying to do is they have a small select group have the power to tell 5.5 million people what they can and can't do. And I'm just a screw the rules disruptor. If you don't want me a part of your club, then screw you. I won't be part of it kind of guy. Like I am all about the people. Anytime someone gets more power, other people lose freedom.
Power. Freedom, right.
So by setting these criteria and gaining these power, you're taking away freedoms and choices of the citizens.
That's right.
And to me, that's a foundation. I talked earlier about foundational beliefs, like not lying. Another foundational belief of mine is just that the people should have ultimate freedom. I'm a libertarian leaning Republican. I am a Republican, not a libertarian, but I go libertarian in that way. I just want the ultimate freedom to be able to do what I want when I want. And I don't like seeing other people try to restrict freedoms by gaining their own power. And that's what's happening here.
We have a comment from one of our listeners, Willie Terrell, good friend of mine out on St. Helena Island, says insiders protecting insiders I say that 5 times, on taxpayers' dime is insane. Willie has a lot. He's if you don't know his background, I'd love to tell you about that one day, but he's exactly right.
Wesley, but that's what's Willie's point. Like, what's the counter argument to that? And if there is one, I'm like, again, you can convince me that I'm wrong on this. This is not one of my, I'm going to die on this hill issue.
Right.
I could be wrong. But but to Willie's point, how is Willie's statement incorrect at all?
I'd love for somebody to answer that. And especially from what there is a history, that Willie is, ran for office, his business. I mean, he has gotten the shaft from insiders and others beyond the pale. I'd love to tell you that story sometime. Maybe you have both of you on here. Do you remember earlier this year, the David Pascoe story?
Me?
Yeah. Do you remember?
I ran David Pascoe's campaign.
Okay. Well, I want you to confirm
got
something.
My ass
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. David,
got my ass kicked.
I remember, Beaufort County GOP had a resolution come out, and it had David's name on there that they weren't going to allow him on the ballot. You know about that?
Oh yeah, I know. I had to deal with that crap.
A lot of shit was raised. They rewrote it and removed his name, but it's still, nobody's an idiot to not know what this meant. I remember when that final one came out, I called good friend of both of ours, CJ Westfall, the Dorchester County chair. And I said, bro, this is what's happening in Beaufort County. And he lost it. He was like, That is uncalled for.
Because CJ's an independent thinker. That's why he's a buddy of mine. 'Cause that's who I surround myself with, are these people that refuse to fall in line and just be a sheep. And CJ is one of the lead guys questioning everything going on in the insider, Republican regimes
Yeah.
right now, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying CJ is always right, because we're all wrong sometimes, and so is CJ sometimes. But I just want the guy questioning what's going on.
But don't you find, that resolution, this whole story, I mean, because you were his campaign manager, I mean, you are a consultant, exactly the nuts and bolts of this. That's beyond disingenuous. And David and I talk many times, now I keep him on speed dial and I send him the show all the time. I mean, that was what Beaufort County did to set the example. And in their eyes, we're going to lead the state. Yeah. That smelled so bad.
Why were they trying to do that? Power. Again, it's just they wanted to be able to show that they've, put their thing on the table and show everybody how big it is. Say, look at me, I've got all the power. It doesn't make any sense, man. David Pasco, we got our butts kicked because we got over close to $2 million spent on negative ads, saying that he was a Democrat, and we knew that was coming. That guy has done more to clean up the state of South Carolina than anybody has in the last 3 decades. And that guy's got a set of balls to do it. That's why I went behind him. Why are you going to go after the one guy who took down the criminals? Really?
Unless you're part of the cabal.
It's insane. It makes no sense. Yeah, I think some of that might have been coming from the state party too.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Sure. Let's turn the tables a little bit. Get on a different subject. I have to tell you, and you know about this. There's some folks out there that have said some things about you that if it were me, I would take it like prize fighter shit. So let me tell some folks. Let me give you some quotes. Nancy Mace says, a welfare kid who went on to become a dangerous political consultant, the kind gritty enough to kill you, but cunning enough to know there's probably something that hurts worse. I would take that as a prize.
She put that on my book, actually. Nancy used to be a close friend of mine, and we had a big falling out, unfortunately, and I hate to see it because we were good friends at one time.
Will Folks of Fitz News said, a habitual line stepper. I love it.
Oh, Will hates me, man. Will. He put up a really pleasant post the other day calling me the big loser of 2026.
He needs to be careful. He needs to be careful. Yeah. Politico, and I think this is on your website, Politico said you're a knife fighter. Nothing wrong with that. That's good. And probably, Wesley, the one that if I could have this told about me, the world's biggest shit stain, Keith Olbermann of MSNBC, he's the biggest waste of human DNA on the planet, said you were the worst, quote, worst person in the world. Man, that is awesome, bro. That is awesome.
Yeah, that was wild when that happened.
How did you have a run-in with that turd?
I think it was during the voter ID fight, and I was leading voter ID for the state Senate. And I made this comment, and it was I don't even remember what the comment was, but somehow the liberals turned it to say that I was racist and that I was trying to keep black people from voting. Right. Which, then all my black friends, because I grew up in welfare, I grew up in Section 8 housing. There's all white people have that old cliche of I've got a black friend. Well, I didn't have any white friends because I grew up in all black, I grew up in the projects. So then I had all my friends, all my old friends texting me and calling me like, right. You knew you were a racist since you were 6 years old. Just joking with me. But yeah, man, I thought that was hilarious whenever that happened.
Yeah, I put him below Stephen Colbert, but those two would be good for each other.
I mean, at least Stephen Colbert is funny occasionally. Olbermann just sucks.
He was horrible on ESPN.
Yeah.
And he's just, he hates.
He sucks.
Life. I bet he hates.
He's just a misery. He just seems like like I'll tell you what I say about Colbert. He's liberal, but sometimes he's funny, and at least he seems like he's having a good time.
Yeah.
Like Olbermann just looks like he's miserable to be alive.
Absolutely. Just hates to be alive.
Yeah, like you would not. Yeah, never mind. I was going to say something even worse, but it just you actually kind of feel sorry for those people. Like, holy shit, could you imagine just being that miserable?
No, I have a client of mine actually in Charleston. who every time he calls, I have to ask him, are you feeling okay? Everything going okay? He sounds like he's going to commit suicide. I mean,
well, that's what I was going to say a while ago. I didn't want to say it. Like, it's if you heard that he did, you wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I ask this kid all the time, like, everything going all right? You got cookies and drink and all that,
Maybe that's just a public persona, but who knows? Anyway.
I want people to know. I want to put this up here. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? Bear with me just a second, because if you haven't seen this, and of course now I can't find it, your book.
Yeah.
Called Under Fire, 13 Rules for Surviving Cancel Culture. My copy is scheduled to be here from Amazon this Friday.
Oh, thanks, man.
Tell us about this book.
So I wrote that at the height of cancel culture. And again, I was working for SeaWorld, and SeaWorld was a real example of one of the first corporations having to go through this political cancel culture issue. And a lot of it was the lessons we learned turning around SeaWorld over those 5 years. But it's kind of a how-to of cancel culture. Now, the book's a little outdated now, Mike, because it's a few years old. Cancel culture isn't what it used to be. But it was an interesting project to write a book. I really enjoyed it. It got a lot of readership and helped me pick up a lot of business. So that was really the ultimate goal.
So, I mean, is that now? I feel like the cancel culture is picking up steam again.
It could be, yeah.
Have you written other books, or that's the only one that I could find that in what I was looking for.
That was my first book. I'm actually working on a second one right now that I'm not really allowed to, or not allowed, shouldn't say allowed. I'm working on a project right now that I'm excited about. I mean, it's been a while. As you can tell from Facebook, I genuinely enjoy writing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a writer. I mean, that's how I started really in politics. And, my first job, I was writing, mail pieces, and I was writing speeches, and I just really fell in love with writing. And since I wrote that book, I've had, I wake up and I want to talk about one topic, but I haven't had like a big thing that I wanted to write about. And then about a month ago, I started my next big thing. So I'm excited about that project.
I'm curious, I have a lot of bucket list items. One of them was I wanted to write a song, and I did, and it's the opening song to the show.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, thanks. I want to write a book, but I don't know how how does Wesley Donehue sit down and get out of the world to concentrate to either put it on a laptop or write it? I mean, how do you do that?
It's very hard during election seasons because there's so much hatred and internet negativity. I got off of Twitter, and then I got back on Twitter, and I got off of Twitter, and I got back on Twitter, and even people on Twitter now are making fun of me about my erratic behavior. And it's nothing other than the noise gets too much and the negativity gets too much. And for me, I have to just block it out because I'm a creative. I have this just, again, a foundational belief that the creator created us to create. Like, God created us to create other things, create families, create buildings, create art, create government, create whatever. I think we are called by God because we are created in the likeness of God, and God is a creator. Therefore, we should be creating. Okay. Yeah. So I look at writing and I look at the creative process in a very spiritual way. Actually, I pray, I meditate for an hour every single day. And for me, people talk about, meditation is meditation and prayer. I look at it as the same thing. I'm meditating. I'm trying to go inward, and I'm trying to let God speak to me. And I'm trying to really download creativity. I believe writing. I believe all creation comes through us from God, and I believe we are tools of God to create. And I look at it that way. So I meditate for an hour as soon as I wake up, and I grab my black tea. I sit in this chair. I drink my tea. I sit here and meditate for an hour. And then typically I go from that to writing. And I have to wake up super early in the morning because once my kids are up, then everything's out the window.
Yeah.
So, I typically get up around 4:30 in the morning and write, and my brain, that's when my writing time is, before the kids wake up, because then the kids are up and you're getting them to school or to camp, and then the phone starts ringing, and then, then your day's shot.
Yeah. And life happens.
then life happens, right? So, it's a combination of prayer, meditation, and just getting up before everybody else does.
Wow. Wesley, we've come to the end of my time, mine and your time together. I want to be cognizant of your personal time with the family. I want to thank you so much for being on here. You are always welcome. I hope you have some time in the future to come back.
Love to.
I know if and when I run for another office in the state house or whatever, I'm going to bend your arm as hard as I can.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk with you about that. But man, I appreciate it. Enjoy your vacation out west. That's going to be awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm so excited, man. I wanted one of these that the kids tell their kids about, right? That was my goal for this summer, and we'll see what happens.
You're awesome. Appreciate you, and give love to the family, and enjoy yourself. Wesley Donehue, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. It is 7:51 right here. 10 minutes for the top of the hour on BigPatriotRadio.com.
Let's go! The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
I really appreciate Wesley for coming on. Guy speaks. He speaks what people think. At least for me, speaks, and some of the things he says, much like me, sometimes a lot of people don't like, but that's okay. I'm not here to win friends and influence others. I'm here to tell you what I believe, and you can like it or not. It's okay. Still love you like a human, and we just go forward. But he is a wealth of knowledge, and I've seen him in action as a political consultant, and he's awesome. The dude is awesome. He is a fighter, and God bless him. All right, this past Independence Day weekend should have been about celebrating America's 250th birthday. Families gathered for fireworks, barbecues, parades, concerts, community events all across the country. But in too many places, ours included, another story unfolded. In North Charleston, South Carolina, what began as a permitted block party turned violent. Police reported fights, fireworks launched at passing vehicles, gunfire, assaults on officers, multiple arrests involving juveniles and an adult. 2 police officers suffered minor injuries while trying to restore order. Authorities say additional arrests are expected as investigators review evidence. Reports of large disorderly gatherings involving teenagers also surfaced over the holiday weekend on Hilton Head Island and in Raleigh, North Carolina. Law enforcement agencies increased their presence to disperse crowds and maintain public safety as communities dealt with concerns over something called teen takeovers. These teen takeovers were broadcast. It was kind of like a warning shot all over social media, Facebook and Twitch and X, and there was another one. I can't remember the name of it, but stuff that the teens get into. Similar incidents prompted police departments across the country, those that were paying attention, to prepare with enhanced staffing, drones, social media monitoring, and crowd control plans during these major holidays. Emphasis on those that prepared. If you've watched the videos, you've seen them. And again, on Hilton Head Island, I think it was seven or eight, I believe it was 7 people were shot out near the Tiki Hut on the south end near Coligny Beach, that area right in through there on the beach side, from what I understand. 7 people were shot. As of today, there are 5 males that have been arrested. No one was killed, thank God. Across the nation, if you've watched any of these videos, the one from North Charleston is online. Hundreds of teenagers suddenly flood shopping malls, beaches, downtown districts, parks, restaurants, entertainment venues. And what begins as a gathering quickly became chaos. Businesses closed. This didn't happen on Hilton Head, but in other places, businesses closed their doors. Families ran for safety. They did on Hilton Head. Police are overwhelmed. Property is damaged. Sometimes innocent people are injured. From what I understand, that is the case there. The obvious question, and this is a much bigger problem than what we saw on Hilton Head, but we'll talk about that a little bit as well. The question is, how do we get here? How did we get here? Some people immediately ask, who's behind this? And that, while that's a fair question, it might be the wrong one. There's no evidence that one shadowy organization that I can find through digging and digging and digging, not one shadowy organization directing these events nationwide, much unlike Antifa, BLM, DSA, all that sit-ins or whatever they're called, Occupy. Those typically have been directed money source from nefarious beings. Not this one. Social media became has become the world's fastest organizing tool. One post, one video, one invitation. Within hours, hundreds or even thousands of teenagers know exactly where to meet. It truly is remarkable how fast it rolls. I've seen posts that I put on X go from 30 or 40 views to all of a sudden 10,000 in a matter of minutes because of a trending word. It's amazing. So then I want you to ask yourself another question. What happens when a generation grows up chasing online attention instead of real world achievement? That's one of the problems that we have. What happens is when you get, or what does happen is when you get more likes, when getting likes becomes more valuable than respect, when viral videos become more important than personal responsibility, when outrageous behavior earns millions of views, while good citizenship earns almost none. At Rayleigh Creative, we got here through the lack of morals and how people were raised. It starts at home. That can't be said enough. Amen. Amen. Rayleigh_creative. So should we really be surprised by what we're witnessing? It's all over the internet. We can all witness it. Technology is only part of the story. For decades, we've watched the gradual weakening of many of the institutions that helped shape young people. Those institutions can be schools, can be Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, church leaders, Sunday school, all of those kind of things we've seen erode. Parents, they're stretched thin. Yes, some families, their parenting has fallen, in the negative category, I guess we could say. A lot of families have one parent households. A lot of them have no father. I don't have the stats on that, but I know one is too many, and we're way beyond that. Communities seem to know their neighbors less than ever before. Ask someone tomorrow, hey, what's your neighbor's name? That house on the left, that yellow house, what's their name? And I'd love to hear how many of you hear the answer, I don't know. I've never talked to him. I waved to him, but I've never talked to him. It didn't used to be that way. Schools are asked to solve problems they were never designed to solve. Churches, civic organizations, youth clubs, mentoring groups often reach fewer people now than they ever did. Some parents are even depending on the schools to raise their children. That's a bad thing to go down. They're not there to raise your children. They're there to educate your children. You are there to raise your children. Meanwhile, many cities have fewer places where teenagers can legally gather and simply be teenagers. None of that, don't get me wrong, none of that excuses any kind of criminal behavior. There's no excuse, not for 1 second. I hear from people all over the county. I'm isolating my silo. Well, let's include Jasper. I mean, my silo right now for this conversation is right here. I hear from people on all sides of economic, of socioeconomic, of every spectrum say there's nothing for my kid to do, or there's not enough. It's too crowded. The rec center is too crowded. Our rec center is not big enough. Whatever. That does come out. Every person who assaults someone, destroys property, steals, threatens innocent people, they should be held accountable. Period. But accountability and understanding are not opposites. If we ignore why these behaviors are becoming more common, we're never going to solve the problem. If you keep your head in the sand, you're never going to find the answer. You're going to keep your head in the sand. If we ignore why these behaviors are becoming more common, we will never solve the problem. I want to reiterate that. That's why I'm saying it. We also have to ask questions, difficult ones, about consequences. Do young people believe there are real consequences for their actions? If juveniles don't believe that nothing's going to happen, they can go shoot up people or a place, nothing's going to happen, I'm going to go to jail, but I'm going to get out, and they're going to say, it's too crowded, just, do better. Hypothetical. If they're told they're going to do that, you know what I mean? If they know that, what's going to deter them? The penal system is a deterrent. Parents, I think, should be held more accountable for children that are still adolescents, that are still juveniles. That would be a deterrent. Are prosecutors consistently enforcing the law? I find that to be a great question. It's one thing for the sheriff's department or the police department to arrest those. And yes, super important. But that's when their job is done. They've arrested them. Now it's the solicitor or the county attorney or the district attorney or whatever it is in your neck of the woods to prosecute them. And if they are guilty, they should go to jail or prison. But are the prosecutors consistently enforcing the law? Are communities willing to expect more from young people while also investing more in them? And these aren't partisan questions. That's not a Democrat question or a Republican question or a Libertarian question. These are American questions. Why? Because every family deserves to feel safe walking through a shopping mall. Every business owner out there deserves protection from mobs. You remember when the riots were going on just a few years ago, and you had businesses, I want to say it was many places, but I remember it was either in Atlanta, I think it was. Yeah, it was Atlanta. I mean, they were burning businesses down. I saw it in Austin or Dallas, one of the two. That kind of behavior, and some of the police, not all of them, would stand back. Chicago, stand back. I'm not. That's absurd. Felice Lamarca, 5296, good to see you. Parents want to be friends with their children, she says. Discipline is a dirty word. Boundaries do not exist. We definitely have an abdication of responsibility by the parents of our children. Amen, sister. Discipline sometimes in some families is a dirty word, and that needs to change. We need a paradigm shift. I remember being a child, and I'm not advocating for beating a child. There's a far difference from beating a child and a quote unquote, as we used to call it, spanking. There were plenty of things that I did that I deserved a spanking. There are plenty of things I did that I deserved it, but it never happened because they didn't know about it. But some parents, not all parents, some parents want to be friends, not a parent. But Felicia, you're absolutely right. And we're not here to be friends with our children. I don't want to be I got 4 daughters. I'm not their best friend. I don't want to be their best friend growing up. They're all adults now. So it's a different story. Now I can watch them go through what my parents went through. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, let me back up. I said every business owner deserves protection from mobs. Get back on that. Every teenager deserves positive opportunities that don't involve becoming the next viral video. America didn't create this problem overnight, and we won't fix it overnight either. I can guarantee that. But pretending it doesn't exist, it doesn't happen here. Oh, not my kids. Oh, my son wouldn't do that. My daughter, she knows better than that. Pretending it doesn't exist isn't going to help. Neither will blaming an invisible conspiracy without evidence. The answer will require stronger families, engaged communities, responsible parenting, effective policing, consistent accountability, and a culture that rewards character more than chaos. Willie Terrell, my good friend, says there should be extremely severe consequences for unlawfully discharging a weapon at a person, regardless if it amounts to murder. Agreed. Honestly, should have the same sentence. The intent is to kill. I myself suffered business loss from a person who should have been behind bars. That is absolutely correct. I watched a part of a trial, just a little excerpt today from, I forgot where it was. I want to say Utah, but it's not. No, it's not Utah. I don't know. Anyway, this particular, I think it was like New York or Massachusetts. Guy was convicted of 4 counts of murder, and it was rather long. The sentence rather long, in quote New Jersey words where it was quoting case law, but that court upheld every piece of law, and they threw the entire book at that animal who will never see the light of day again. Okay? Those answers again are going to require, we'll say it one more time, stronger families, engaged communities, responsible parenting, effective policing, consistent accountability, and a culture that rewards character more than chaos. I remember growing up back in Virginia. I had something that I always, now I can look back on and think about. I had, I noticed in some of my friends' families, specifically my black friends as a child, getting into like teens years, something like that, their families and their families' communities really took an interest into raising said child, more so than people who look like me. I noticed that. I mean, now I think about it. I don't know what I thought then, but now I think about it and can say they took a vested interest. I remember hearing and seeing some preachers from some of my friends. It didn't matter who the kids, it didn't matter who they were from. They would give them holy hell to keep them in line. I mean, I remember that, and I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in a long time. But you know, the next generation is watching us very, very closely. They may tell you, I'm not paying attention to you. You're weird, Dad. You're weird, Mom. You sound funny. You listen to weird stuff. Or they're in there doing. They're watching you. The question is going to be, and if you didn't know this then, you know it now. What example are we going to set for that next generation?
You have an incoming transmission.
Drop the tailgate, y'all.
Your attention, please.
You are listening worldwide to DJ Magic Mike
Okay.
on BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right. It is 10 minutes after the top of the hour. That's going to do it for this week. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Especially want to give a thanks out to Wesley Donehue for being on here and sharing some time with him. He's a great guy. You folks that watch us each and every week live, I appreciate you, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or listening to us on BigPatriotRadio.com. And those that watch, usually it's the thousands that watch afterwards between now and next Thursday. It's amazing. Don't forget, go right here, next door. There you see to my head, that QR code. Click on that. BuyMeACoffee.com. It's time. I'm going to need a cup of coffee. We're going to be back next week on Facebook, YouTube, and simulcasting on BigPatriotRadio.com. Again, don't forget to like, share, whatever. Click any notification bells on YouTube and whatever. Click the QR code. We appreciate it. And until next week, be safe and watch your six. Good night, everybody.
Beaufort County's house of cards. Pull one thread and it all falls apart. And we're raising the bar, shining a light wherever the secrets are. No more smoke screens, no more facades. The people are watching from near and far, and truth and transparency are our guard. We're tearing down that house of cards. And Facebook Live on a Thursday night. See, bringing the facts and shining the light. No matter who's winning, no matter who's scared, the truth's got a way of hitting hard. And the people deserve to know what's true, what they're spending and who's pulling through. From Bluffton streets to Beaufort yards, the truth keeps shaking that house of cards. It's Beaufort County's house of cards, where the truth cuts through like a shooting star. And Facebook, YouTube, and Big Patriot Radio, taking the story where the people go. Truth and transparency are our regard. No one's too big, no matter who you are. And freedom survives when citizens guard against every house of cards. So tune in every Thursday night. We'll keep shining the light, and truth keeps standing tall as every house of cards can fall.